Greetings, justice seekers. Welcome to Justice, Not Justice. This is episode 7 of season 1. I'm about to take control of this shit show. Okay, so we are now in February of 2018. A couple of caveats. Firstly, realize that this has been 2.5 years ago. It's taken this long for me to be able to actually air this because of a lot of complications about which you will learn. So I'm going to do my very best to recall correctly and do it in a linear fashion, but I might forget from time to time and end up bouncing around just a little. But I just wanted, I've done my best, gone through emails and things to recall how things unfolded. So just that quick caveat, as well as that this reviewing all of this is very disturbing to me and obviously kind of re-traumatizing me for having had to go through all of this. So my intention is for that not to affect my objectivity, but to present the facts as I experience them. Okay, so now Mr. Collins has been police escorted out of his home based on complete lies of a domestic abuse and a restraining order that was issued, and now he's homeless. And now we're going to start getting the other players involved here. So it's been between the two of them. The court got involved just a little bit, but nothing official as far as the divorce and that kind of thing. So both parties hire attorneys. And the first hearing scheduled for this divorce is in front of a court commissioner at the end of March of 18. So in the meantime, you have to really appreciate how angry Jeremiah is that he not only was forced out of the home that he's owned for 20 years and which he is the sole owner of. Jamie Collins was never on the deed, never on the mortgage or anything. But because it was all based on lies. So understandably angry and frustrated, and also still trying very hard to be very reasonable. So Jamie's attorney proposes this temporary agreement to tide them over related to certain things until the first hearing in March, okay? So this comes from her via the attorney. And, I'm not going to read all of it, but some key salient points is that beginning on April 1st of that same year, so we're talking about February, March, April, Jeremiah will be able to resume residency of the home that she will leave with the kids, get her own place to rent. And he agrees to pay $1,500 toward that for first month's rent deposit as a contribution. They have all sorts of complicated things related to placement, which are sort of irrelevant. Although one of the things is that it says that all exchanges of the children shall occur curbside at respondent's home. And Jeremiah has an issue with that provision because it's sort of beginning to reinforce this notion that he's dangerous. Like, you can't pull into the driveway, I'm afraid of you. It has to happen on curbside. You see how it's like tightening the screws on this picture of him as a dangerous person and as her as this weak victim. And if you have seen the last couple of videos, you will know that she is anything but a weak victim, that she is actually the perpetrator. All right. Then another piece of this that is significant is that the children shall have no contact with a significant other. Fine. He's going to keep the health insurance, which costs several $100s per month. They're supposed to exchange a list of property that he would like to have, and she's supposed to comply and whatever. So this is their temporary agreement. All right. So they begin moving forward. visitation kind of happens. Now, here's where I'm at. So this is February. Again, he's staying at his sister's on the floor, a 1-bedroom apartment, and he's supposed to be having his kids coming over, which he does, but they don't really have anything to do. Again, it's a 1-bedroom apartment of a middle-aged woman who doesn't have kids anymore, and there's nothing for them to do, and there's nowhere for them to sit, and this kind of thing. So visitation is tricky. He's always having to find somewhere to go, and again, it's February, so weather very unpredictable in Wisconsin, cold. So, visitation's really touchy at this point, but Jamie's trying to spin it as, you're not trying, and the kids are miserable, and they hate you, and they hate this, and all that kind of thing, and of course, and anyway, he's trying. So by this point, it had become clear to me that I needed to come back to Milwaukee from Montana to help my friend through this situation, because I felt like there was potential for a lot of really bad ugliness to occur, and I wanted to try to help avoid that. So I actually begin, I come out at the beginning of March, rent an Airbnb. It turns out that I had been in Milwaukee for many years prior to going back to Montana, and I have a friend in Milwaukee who happens to have a 3rd floor apartment that was not being rented, and I asked her if Jeremiah and I could rent a room for a short period of a certain number of months while we get established somewhere, and she said fine. So beginning in March, we now have this apartment. We have access to all of it, but really we are renting a room. So again, not ideal for kid visitation, not to mention the fact that I'm not supposed to be around, which again, I don't have a problem with. I get it. So you can understand how making visitation happen is extremely tricky. But he does. And one of the weekends that he had them, he doesn't have, he's supposed to have them for a weekend, and he doesn't have any stable, solid place for them to be or go. So it's costing him money by having to go to the movies and take them out for dinner, and it all, everything has to be paid for because there's no home to go to. So one of the weekends he decided to take them to one of the water park hotel things around here. And again, it was expensive, but this is how he's trying to make it work so he can see his kids. Just continues to get flack and trouble, challenges around scheduling and all that kind of thing. But he doesn't really care. He wants to see his kids, and he's doing it. So I come at the beginning of March. We move into this bedroom, and another weekend visit is coming down the pike around the middle of March. And when I first came here, I had rented an Airbnb house before so I could get my feet settled and everything. And I said, well, there's this house that I was in, and I mean, it's a whole house. It's 4 bedrooms. It's got a backyard. It could be a great place, cheaper than going to a hotel, to have the kids for the weekend. And he decided that he was going to do that. So meanwhile, remember that they have these agreements, these temporary agreements, and she's really not living up to her end of the bargain, of not talking disparagingly about the other person.